There's a popular quote from Elon Musk, who was in turn quoting one of his friends, and it goes something like this: entrepreneurship is like chewing glass and staring into the abyss. And for anybody that's been an entrepreneur or is an entrepreneur, you know exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of pain, a lot of rejection, and a lot of uncertainty. And so if there's one thing that I really can't stand, it's subjecting myself to more pain needlessly. And so one such repetitive nutkick for me has been all of the fancy new AI tools that you get excited about. They tell you it's the next best thing next to sliced bread. You get in there and the app ends up sucking, often doing worse job than you could have done yourself just using ChatGPT. Again, if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. And so in this video, what I want to do is give you 4 tools that, if you are an entrepreneur or a high performer in the workplace, are actually worth it. Now, before I hop in, I will say I made this video with tech-oriented people in mind. That being said, I made this video for tech-oriented people that are not necessarily masters of AI, meaning maybe you've used ChatGPT, maybe Claude, you've poked around with a few tools, but it's not an integrated part of your everyday life. But you still know your way around tech. I'm not going to be teaching you how to turn on a computer switch here. So these tools, again, 4 practically useful and approachable AI tools for entrepreneurs or high performers that I think everybody needs to be using. That being said, let's hop in and get to the first one on the list, which is a tool called Exa AI. So here we are inside of Exa AI, and I'd like to start with talking about what is this tool practically useful for. So one big pain point for entrepreneurs in particular is the struggle of efficiently wrangling a lot of information, especially when you need to do research on a topic. There's a lot of different information out there, and to be honest, a lot of the time, surfacing that information is a little bit gamed. For anybody that has used Google, for example, for the past few years, it seems like every time you're looking for practical information, it's just filled with affiliate links and reviews that are inauthentic because someone is just trying to sell you a product. And so in steps Exa.ai, a tool that is similar to Perplexity, but in my opinion, gives better results and more needle in a haystack type of results that are actually precisely what you were looking for. So what I really like about this tool, if you were to compare it to a tool like Google or even to Perplexity in a certain sense, is that it uses semantic vector searches to search by the meaning of what you are saying instead of based on the keywords that you are using when you say it. Meaning it goes out there and it finds the actual answers to your question. But it not only does that, it gives you structured results and it gives you verified outputs. And so I think the best way to show you exactly what this means is to demonstrate a few real world scenarios for you. Inside of Exa, we're looking at one of the searches that I did. And so this one I said, I want you to pull for me agentic AI startups that provide services to local business. Now, the reason that I'm looking for this is I got a hankering to build a new app. And one of the areas that I'm personally looking at is local service area businesses, right? There are tens of millions of them all across the United States, and they're often very inefficient, very outdated, and they often solve problems with manual labor instead of automation. And so for me, great opportunity for a software product. And so I wanted to go out and I wanted to see which other businesses are out there trying to provide solutions to that same market. And so what Exa does is when you give it a query like this, it tells you what type of information it is going to extract, right? So startup companies in the AI sector where they specifically provide services to local businesses. And then again, they're searching across their own embeddings. What that means is they're actually building a database similar to like how Google would build an index of all of the web pages. They've done the same thing, but they're stored in actual vector databases. So embeddings, meaning they can pull the meaning out of those pages as opposed to just the keywords on those pages. And so it went out again and it pulled information from this list. And so now we can see as it goes through, it pulls the business, it pulls the URL, it pulls a kind of like a true false is this business in the AI sector? And then does it provide services specifically to local businesses? And so it's going to give you true false values. And so, for example, if we were to come all the way down here, we can see with this one, for example, Ease My AI, says, yes, it's in the AI space, it's in the AI sector, but it doesn't provide, or doesn't mention at least, that it provides businesses that are local, like small businesses, specific solutions. And so again, if I'm going and I'm trying to benchmark competitors for this offer that I'm considering building, or for the software I'm considering building, now I have a bunch of different businesses that I can look into and see what they're doing. So we have Local Posh, we have this Go Same Day, we have Local IO, and then I can pop in and see what exactly are the services that these people are. A terrible experience with that one, going away. What are exactly they're doing? What does their website look like? How are they speaking to these people? Are the things that I would want to pull out, right? And so again, if you're in business, you know that like doing research like this is really important for what you would need to do in your day-to-day life. And so here's another search that I had, which was a little bit more involved, where I said, I'm trying to find AI tools, or I'm trying to find companies with proprietary AI models that are specifically useful for entrepreneurs, content creators, or marketers, that's recognized as a top tool in the AI industry. And they must be relevant, meaning they have to be actively like getting coverage on them, right? I don't want an old tool that was made in 2023 and it's stale blog posts about it and they're going to link me to a site that's not developed anymore. Like I want things that are active. And so again, it's able to break that down into the search criteria, go out and find everything that matches these criteria. So it goes out and pulls them. And for every single element that I said I wanted it to look at, it's building a column for each of those, and it's verifying that the result actually matches against those. And so as an example, if we were to come down here to typeset, it's saying, yes, it is a tool that has their own proprietary model. Yes, it is specifically for entrepreneurs, content creators, or marketers. Then they're saying, no, not really recognized as a top tool in the industry. And so interesting way that we can go around and do research that is meaningful to us. And there are tons and tons and tons of different use cases for this. Lead gen is a really big one. Say you want to find people in specific roles at specific companies where the companies do very specific things or are involved in certain sectors, and then you want to specifically pull the contact information for a specific role. It can go out and it can perform those types of searches. Maybe you want to find companies of certain sizes or of certain revenue in certain areas, in certain verticals. It can go out and pull all of that. Recruiting is another one that they really talk a lot about, where maybe you want to go out, they've indexed all of LinkedIn and you want to find, hey, I'm trying to hire an accountant for this specific type of business, so I want to go out and find finance analysts that have this specific experience at a company of this type that have accomplished these sorts of things. And it's going to go out and it's going to pull all of that information automatically for you. And we can see all of that being pulled through here. So really cool use cases. Again, market research, this is kind of what we were looking at. Academia. So maybe you want to find articles that talk about specific things. Maybe say, hey, I want to find every paper that has been published in the past 5 years where there was a clinically significant outcome related to extending human longevity. And I want to know exactly what molecules or supplements they were referring to. And then I want you to pull for me if there's a matching Amazon product, right? You can go out and can do all of that stuff, structure it, and return it to you exactly as you want it. I think this tool is amazing. One of my favorite new tools to use. And one of the things that I do really, really appreciate about it is that it's it's API first, meaning what I just showed you, yeah, I was in there messing around a little bit with their web UI, but they have really powerful, really easy to use APIs, meaning if you're, again, a little bit more tech inclined as an entrepreneur, or you have people on your team that are tech inclined and you see how this tool would be super valuable, they can go in super, super, super easy to query this information like automatically from a no-code tool like a Zapier or N8N or Make.com or really any other tool. Really easy to query it and pull your results in. So Exa.ai, one of my favorite new tools to use. Next up on my list at number 2 is one that out of any of these you most likely would have had some degree of experience with or have heard it, but I think it's worth reiterating how awesome and important a tool like this is, and that is an advanced AI reasoning model. A reasoning model, and I'm going to specifically call out in this video ChatGPT's or OpenAI's o1 Pro. Reasoning models are different from your standard GPTs, right? So I'll just use ChatGPT as an example because it's the most well-known. When you're inside of ChatGPT, especially if you're on a free plan or a lower tiered paid plan, you have access to their standard GPTs typically, meaning you give it a prompt and it just goes out and it kind of really quickly answers you and gives you a response, right? That is a lot different from the new era of models that are coming out, which are reasoning models. And the reason that's important to understand is because reasoning models can solve very complex problems and they actually take time to think about those solutions. And so if you're operating in a business in any capacity, having a reasoning model that can help you solve tough problems really quickly and synthesize information and find relationships between pieces of information is critical. And so let's hop in and actually look at o1 Pro. All right, so I popped in a big prompt here and I'm gonna kind of walk through and show you how this is broken down, and then we can look at how this thing is actually functioning. So again, one of the big pain points of any business really, and to do any business well, is that you have to solve complex problems, right? You have to solve complex problems where there's often a lot of unknowns about things, and to make decisions effectively, you need to be able to reason in a nuanced way about a lot of different things and integrate those ideas together in a way that makes sense. And a basic AI model cannot help you with that. And so it's something that traditionally has been something that just an individual human being realistically would have to do. The thing that's really powerful about an advanced AI reasoning model is that it can tackle really sophisticated problems and think and reason about that problem independently. So you don't need to tell it how to break steps down. You don't need to tell it how to do research the right way. You don't need to tell it how to do these things. Again, it can reason independently about how to analyze a problem or to solve a problem. And so let's look at what that is like in a concrete way. So when we're prompting these models, not going to get into the details on this because I do have a different video about this. When we're prompting a reasoning model, it is different from prompting regular old ChatGPT because we want to give it exactly what it needs, nothing more, nothing less. And so the first thing you want to give the system is what your goal is. So for this fictitious example, we're going to pretend that we are some sort of digital entrepreneur and we have a software company and we want to brainstorm new features that we could develop that could be valuable for our customer. That's what we're going to do in this use case. But again, this reasoning could apply to anything. You could use this to analyze case law. You could use it to help you maybe get out of a contract. There's a lot of different ways that you could use something like this. But again, in this specific example, we're going to use it for something that I think is kind of cool, which is software development. So, hey, your job is to analyze product development opportunities for our creative automation software. Okay, so ad creative automation software. Format. So we're going to tell it what our goal is first and foremost. Then we're going to tell it how we want it to format, how it responds to us. So I'm saying section 1 should be summarizing past trends. Section 2 should be projecting out where we expect the continuation of those trends to go. Section 3 should be advanced creative automation features that might benefit our core clients. The warnings are next. So we have to tell the system what to watch out for, what not to do. And so in this case, I'm just going to put something basic in. Only provide insights for consumer packaged good brands, because for this fictitious thing I'm doing here, I'm saying that's a company that provides solutions to CPG brands. And then last but not least, we have the context. So this is where you're going to put anything that is specific to your information or your business, right? Things that you want the model to know before it goes out and does all of this. And so I found a random business on the internet, information or your business, right? Things that you want the model to know before it goes out and does all of this. And so I found a random business on the internet. I do not own this business, by the way. I'm just using them, pretending as if I did, because it seems like they do stuff for consumer packaged good brands. So I'm saying, hey, I'm pretending that I'm this company. Our business is a creative automation platform where we help people build their ads basically for Facebook, for Instagram, for TikTok, social channels, paid social channels. And then we're going to say, here are some historical trends to consider. I pulled these from Perplexity, by the way. So AI answer engine. Here are some different things to consider. things that CPG brands tend to struggle with. Again, I'm putting this in here just to demonstrate. If you were doing this, you'd want to think a little bit about like what is the context that you really want to feed the model. But we're telling it, hey, this is where targeting played a big role for them. These are bottlenecks that they have. These are challenges that they have, and so on. And so we give them all of this extra context, right? This is like, oh, hey, this is stuff you need to consider. And basically what it did was it went out and it brainstormed all of that for us. And again, it returned it to us exactly how we asked it to. And you can get more detailed in this, by the way. I just said, hey, make section 1 this, make section 2 that, make section 3 this. But you could be as detailed as you want about exactly how you want it to fill that out. So maybe, I don't know, you're in private equity or something and you have like a research formula that you tend to follow. You could use something like this, right? Or you could even take the output from the XAI tool and plug it into something like this to have it really reason through problems for you, which at the very least will give you a really strong starting point to do your own analysis of things. So past trends, shifting from organic to paid, evolution of how they use targeting in their data, AI segmentation, considering privacy, things like that. Being able to measure ROI, which is a big thing for like a consumer package brand or consumer package goods, where you think like, hey, you're trying to spend money on paid social and then people go into a retail environment to buy from you. How do you attribute that, right? Someone saw my Facebook ad and then went to Walmart and bought my product off the shelf. How do you actually reconcile those so that you know your ads are working? Big challenge for them. Content saturation and creative overload. All right, so all these different problems that they've been facing. UGC becoming huge, right? Like influencers becoming huge. Where does the AI see these trends evolving to? So deeper integration of AI and predictive analytics, convergence of retail and social commerce. So like a bigger kind of crossover between having things that are social, but then having this like in-person environment where people make transactions, and some interesting ideas for how they think those things might go with like live streaming on short form platforms for shopping, basically. Pretty cool. Then a few different things. So I'm not going to go through each of these. And then section 3, how do you see advanced like creative tools or softwares that could be built in order to do this or help with these problems? So they're talking about like building dynamically personalized creative at scale, things you could do there, modular content creation, localization, which is really big in this stuff. So meaning, how do you make it so that if someone's shopping in New Jersey, they see maybe background images that are related to landscapes they would know, things like that, landmarks they would know. How we can integrate UGC using AI to power the creative briefs from these companies when they're actually deciding what ads they're going to build, and all of these different things. Now, this is an area where I don't think O1 Pro actually has access to the internet. So me giving it that link that I gave it didn't do anything. But what you could have done is gone into the website, if this was your website, and actually pulled out like what all of your features were and everything, and pasted them in here and had insights that were tailored to your specific business. So O1 Pro, again, huge thing. Getting the AI, again, getting the systems to help us reason through problems. So with number 3, we're going to actually switch gears a little bit and talk about a tool that I was hesitant to use at first, actually, because it felt a little bit awkward. It is a tool called Whisper Flow. Now, what Whisper Flow is it is a speech to text tool that uses AI in a lot of its processes. Now, the reason that I'm recommending this in a list of AI tools, I will get to in just a second. But really quickly, one thing that's a really interesting point is that writing down ideas, typing on your computer, like having to think through your ideas and then type them onto something or write them down in a notebook, actually is very inefficient. What's a lot more efficient is to speak out what you were thinking about something and then leveraging a tool that can intelligently transcribe that information and do something with it, okay? And so that's what I want to show you here. I think the actual statistic is that you can speak an idea 3 times faster than you could write that idea down. So you can imagine with all of this information that we're having to deal with, how can we be as effective as possible in working quickly, working efficiently, working effectively at what it is that we are trying to do? Using a speech to text tool is super valuable. Now, I will say these speech to text tools specifically have been around for quite some time, but they used to kind of suck. They were a little bit janky. They didn't work very well. These new AI powered and AI enabled tools are really cool. So I want to show you a use case of one of these. So here we are on the website for Whisperflow. You can download and use this for free, which is one thing that's nice about this. The only difference is that on the free plan, it's going to limit how long of a voice note you can record. This is what I was talking about easier. 3.95 times faster to speak your words than to type your words out, which is pretty awesome. And there's some nice things that it can do. So it can format information really well, remembers context. You can train it to actually sound like you. It can help you write. A lot of really cool use cases for this. Here's how the pricing works, by the way, if you are interested in it. And I'm not affiliated with this tool, by the way. So these are all the different things that you get depending on the level that you're on. But I want to show you one concrete use case of this. I use this a lot when I'm like developing stuff and I want to talk through a feature and have the AI kind of parse out all of the things I'm saying and then like paste it into something like ChatGPT. But one of the cool features that they have now is where you can speak to the system and it uses their own version, their own language model. I'm assuming it's one that they've developed in order to do stuff for you. So for example, if I was to highlight this entire email and then wanted it to do something based on this. So here's like a pretty long email where, and I made this up, where I'm telling the legal team that we're going to lose the deal because of how long it's taking for the contract to be reviewed. And so maybe I sat here and I said, I probably shouldn't send out an email this long. Kind of sounds mean. Let me shorten this down. I can just use this tool to do it. So let's look at what that might look like. Hey Flo, can you please shorten this email down to 3 sentences at most, but make sure to highlight that we need to get this contract finalized by the end of the week or else we're going to lose the deal. Make it sound informal. Don't sound too stuffy. And boom, it's going to go out. It's going to take the full context of everything that was highlighted and it is going to pass this out. So it replaces all of that text with what your new thing is. And so there's like the shortened email that you could send out. So this, you could call it borderline not even necessarily an AI tool. I think that it uses AI to get really good transcripts. And there's a lot of other workflow features that are AI enabled that they're helping or that they're working on building out right now. But great tool overall to include in your arsenal. Cool. So the last tool that we are going to talk about on this list is one that you may have used before, you may have heard of it before, but they're building out a lot of AI-driven capabilities that are, to be honest, unfortunately flying under the radar. I think the tool is incredibly helpful, and it is very, very beginner-friendly, which is one of the reasons that I find it a great tool for entrepreneurs that, again, aren't the most technically advanced person in the world, but want to be able to roll out these types of solutions for themselves in a practical way. And so the tool that we are talking about is Zapier's chat bots. So here we are inside of our Zapier account. Now, when you log in or sign up, or maybe you have already, when you log in, you're going to see on this left-hand side that they have this new chatbots, Canvas, and agents. Agents are also pretty cool AI-driven solutions, but for purposes of this video, I want to look at chatbots. And so we're going to pop in there to our dentist example. If you wanted to create one of these for yourself, you would just pop up and hit this create button. But now we're going to pop in and talk about this. So again, one of the big struggles, if you, one, are just an entrepreneur that has no vested interest in AI really, but you want to kind of be able to use this stuff, but you're not like an AI business. You're not an agency that like makes their money with AI automations, but it's like, hey man, this stuff's cool and I wish I could deploy it. Whether you, again, own a business or work in a business and you think this stuff's cool and you want to be able to like deploy it again. Repetitive tasks and manual processes are one of the easiest ways that you can start implementing this stuff so that you can start freeing up time to work on things that actually matter. And furthermore, so that you don't have to worry about human error or the necessity for a human to step in to try and do something. And so one of the great ways that you can do that is to start thinking through, well, what are the places in my business where I have the most human interaction? And for a lot of businesses, especially a local business, which we're going to use in this example, it's that front end office environment where somebody needs to be able to respond and have conversations with customers for things that don't necessarily require a lot of skill. So what I want to show you right now is how we can actually build a chatbot, which you could deploy directly on your website, or you could even have it as the backend, having conversations via text message, via Facebook Messenger, You could even hook these in to do phone conversations with people for some frequently asked questions like about your business, right? That's one of the use cases that these things are super practical. So I'm going to try to zoom in my screen a little bit and let's check this out. So again, in this context, we're going to pretend we're a dentist and we are trying to build out a customer support bot that can answer questions and book appointments for us. So again, this is going to attempt to book appointments for the business. So the first thing is we have to really define our bot and what it says and how it works. So the objective, what is the bot's objective? We're telling it you're a customer support rep. Your objective is to answer questions and provide resources about a dental practice. To achieve this, follow these general guidelines. Answer the question efficiently and include key links. If a question is not clear, ask for follow-ups. Something you might tell an employee what to do. Style. Your communication style should be friendly and professional. Use structured formatting. Add emojis if you want to make the message engaging. These are all things you could change, by the way. If I didn't want emojis, I could just backspace that and it's not going to do that. Other rules. For any user question, always query your knowledge source, which I'm going to show you in a second, even if you think you know the answer already. So your answer must come from that knowledge source information. And then we have some basic stuff here. Hey, how's it going to greet people? And so on. I made a change there, so I'm going to go through and save that change. But then when we go over to our knowledge sources, this is where we can start training it on things that only we know about our business. And so just for this example, I threw together a quick FAQ with 20 questions on things a dental practice might have to generally answer questions about. So do you see children, or is it an adult-only practice? Do you accept my insurance? Do you do emergency appointments? What is your cancellation policy, right? All of those sorts of things where it's like, I mean, do we really need a human sitting here having a conversation with somebody about this stuff? So we can just download this file, or you can upload it from any source that you have, and you simply just upload it, boom, directly in. You can go to your computer and just upload the file directly in here. And now the chatbot has this information in it. Now, another thing that's really cool about the Zapier integrations is that you can also collect leads off of this. So you can have the chatbot collect lead information, and you could even go so far as to book appointments automatically with people, which again is pretty cool. And so if we want to go look at what something like this might look like, we can go into this dentist example that I have. And it's saying, how can I help you today? We can say, I'm having a horrible tooth emergency. Do you take emergency appointments? And it says, yes, we do. Right? And it says, here's how you can reach us. You can book an appointment online. You can call us. You can blah, 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 blah. And say, okay, it's actually for my child, not me. Do you work with children? Right? And it's going to go out. And again, it's referencing our knowledge base. Okay? So in here, children of all ages. So the bot is going to reply and say, yes, we do. And then all of this stuff. Now, it asked us if it would like to book an appointment. What appointment times do you have available? Now, I'm not actually sure how it's going to answer this because I haven't hooked up a calendar, but you could hook up your business's actual calendar as a tool in here for it to reference. Right, so yeah, it said it couldn't find anything. So we could say though, I'd like to book an appointment, please. And then again, it's going to go through and it's going to prompt us for our information. So we can just put some dummy information in. And then it's going to go through. And if we had, again, hooked in that back piece, it would go through and actually generate an appointment with this information. So again, all really helpful tools that really anybody should be able to use that should have a dramatic uptick in your productivity. Be curious to hear if you're already using any of these tools or if there's any that you think missed the list. Happy to record videos on those too. So that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.